They say history is written by victories, but sometimes the moments that define a nation are not the ones where everything goes right. They are the moments when everything goes wrong and people refuse to give up. In April of 1970, three American astronauts were traveling nearly 400,000 kilometers from Earth, inside a fragile machine made of metal, wires, and hope. The world believed this mission was routine. Another trip to the moon, another flag, more rocks, another headline that barely anyone would read. What no one knew was that this mission was about to become one of the greatest survival stories in human history, and one of the proudest moments in American ingenuity. To understand why Apollo 13 mattered so much, we must go back to the beginning. In the middle of the Cold War, the United States and the Soviet Union were locked in a battle for global influence. It wasn't just about weapons or armies. It was about proving which system, which nation, and which people were capable of pushing humanity forward. When the Soviets launched the first satellite and sent the first human into space, America responded with a promise that shocked the world. The United States would land a man on the moon and bring him back safely to Earth. That promise became the Apollo program. And when Apollo 11 succeeded in 1969, the goal was achieved. Humanity had walked on another world. But success came with an unexpected consequence. People stopped paying attention. The impossible had become reality, and reality had become routine. Budgets were questioned, missions were canceled, and the future of lunar exploration was suddenly uncertain. Apollo 13 launched in a moment when the space program no longer had the full attention of the world, yet it carried the weight of everything America had built in space. Apollo 13 was not a symbolic mission. It was scientific. The astronauts were headed to the Fra Mauro region of the Moon, a place that could help scientists understand how the Moon was formed. The plan was to deploy instruments, collect samples, and continue the work started by earlier Apollo missions. No drama was expected. In fact, the mission barely made headlines before launch. Even before liftoff, fate intervened. Just days before the mission, astronaut Ken Mattingly was removed from the crew due to possible exposure to rubella. His replacement, Jack Swigert, had only days to prepare. It was a risky decision, but NASA trusted its training, its systems, and its people. On April 11, 1970, Apollo 13 launched toward the Moon. 5 minutes after liftoff, one of the rocket's engines shut down earlier than planned. It was dangerous, but not fatal. The spacecraft adjusted, the mission continued, and Apollo 13 was on its way. For nearly 3 days, everything appeared normal. The crew spoke with Mission Control, filmed educational videos, and joked in zero gravity. To the public, it was just another Apollo mission. Then, in a single moment, everything changed. At the request of Mission Control, the crew stirred the oxygen tanks. Seconds later, a loud bang echoed through the spacecraft. The ship shook violently. Warning lights filled the cockpit. One oxygen tank had exploded, and the second was failing. Oxygen wasn't just for breathing. It powered the spacecraft. Without it, Apollo 13 was no longer a mission to the Moon. It was a fight to survive. "Houston, we've had a problem." Those words marked the beginning of a race against time. The moon landing was immediately canceled. The command module was losing power. The only option was to use the lunar module, a vehicle designed for 2 astronauts for a short stay on the moon, as a lifeboat for 3 men for 4 days in deep space. Temperatures dropped near freezing. Water was rationed to almost nothing. The crew grew weak, dehydrated, and exhausted. Worse still, carbon dioxide levels began to rise. The filters on the lunar module were not designed for 3 people. Without a solution, the crew would suffocate. Back on Earth, something extraordinary happened. Engineers, scientists, and technicians worked around the clock. There was no time for blame, no room for panic. They built solutions with what the astronauts had on board: cardboard, plastic bags, manuals, and duct tape. Against all odds, it worked. The carbon dioxide levels dropped. The crew could breathe again. Apollo 13 swung around the far side of the moon, using its gravity to begin the long journey home. At that moment, those 3 astronauts were farther from Earth than any human beings in history. No rescue was possible. Everything depended on calculations, teamwork, and trust. After 6 days in space, Apollo 13 re-entered Earth's atmosphere. Communication went silent. For long, terrifying seconds, the world waited. Then, a signal. Parachutes. Splashdown in the Pacific Ocean. They were alive. Apollo 13 never landed on the moon. But it accomplished something far greater. It proved that even in failure, even in crisis,